Right then, another Amarok vlog, and this one weren't really planned in. I've just sort of decided it might make a good video because we get asked a lot about exhausts and noise and stuff like that, and it's sort of spurred on by the fact, if you watch the last video or maybe a couple of videos before, maybe even 3-4 videos before, I don't know how far behind we are now, but we got a spare wheel that were the same size as the big wheels that we've got on now, or thereabouts, but that doesn't fit even with the standard exhaust. So the original plan to fit this aftermarket one that we make, just a single side, twin exit, whatever you want to call it. This is just a used one we took off a customer's car. I was going to throw this on because we weren't going to do much about it, but that's not going to fit at all now because all this stuff will get in the way where the spare wheel goes. I haven't tried it, but I'm pretty sure it will. Might try it, never know. But that's going to be for sale, so if anybody wants one, it's there. So the other stuff that we're going to fit before we do it, well, we'll do it in a certain order, but we'll talk about that in a minute, is all these pieces. So you've got the DCAT pipe, which if we look under the engine bay in a minute, you'll see what that replaces. And then you've got the second part of this, which is a DPF delete, and this one has got the AdBlue boss in there, but these are an option. You don't need to actually select that option if you've not got AdBlue, because then you've not got anything to plug that up. So make sure, if you just pop your head underneath, which will put a picture of where it is, you'll see. So if you've not got AdBlue, make sure you select that you don't want the AdBlue option, because you will be left with a big steamy hole coming out your exhaust. So CAT first, then the DPF on the downpipe, and then you've got this next piece, which you don't have to have this if you choose these because it's flanged here, but then the next part, this is the secondary CAT. So this little sleeve here is to go to the standard exhaust size, which leads us to the next part that we're going to do. The standard exhaust is here, and obviously it's not going to fit. I want it to fit. So the next step for us is going to be send the exhaust out here somewhere. Not sure how close to take it to the wheel. Probably easiest to send it out and send it here and then slash cut it off or bend it or whatever we're going to do. But that is going to be a custom job. Not sure if we're going to offer it for sale. We'll probably put it on this and see what the response is, but we can definitely jig it and sell it if somebody wants it. Price to be confirmed on how long it takes and what materials they are, but there will be a little bit of messing about underneath to make an hanger and stuff like that, so it's not going to be a straight fit like all the other stuff, or at least at the minute it's not. So the other thing to consider for this video is going to be the noise. So at the minute, I'll fire it up, and you can see this is all totally standard. It's got a map on this, but it's totally standard as far as noise is concerned. So I'll get the decibel meter. I'm not sure how we're going to do this. I think you might have to record your own hand, Danny. You're a prop there, but turn it on. So it's about 59, just sat here when it's not windy. We'll go a couple of inches away from the exhaust. 62 at idle. And this is warmed up a little bit, so it's not as noisy as it was when it was still warming up. So I'll let you hold that there, Danny, and you record it, and I'll just take it to the soft rev limit. So that's 2,500 RPM. I don't know what the figure, what were the 80. So yeah, 80 decibels. So I speak to Dan about what we can do and how we can do it and the most efficient way of doing it. And Dan just says, just drop standard exhaust off and let's just see how much noisier it is. So we'll go out on the road and see what this sounds like on the camera, just so as a reference baseline, and then we'll drop the exhaust off and we'll go from there, and then we'll do things in whatever order makes most sense then we might go back to the full deletes and then the standard exhaust back on there, because everybody always seems to ask us what that'll sound like as well, which is not too bad. But you'll see with the DPF in place, if you're just wanting noise from an exhaust, there's probably no point, but we'll see what that equates to on here. So I've just been out and done a quick road test. Then we've just done the measurements we did yesterday outside. We're going to do them in control room workshop here. So we've just done them. I'm going to whip this exhaust off now and then do the same again. But it's, when you want to do things properly, you end up with quite a lot of measurements, and I'm not sure how good that decibel meter is. But anyway, we'll knock the exhaust off, we'll do it again, and we'll go from there. So the exhaust's off, not too big of a job, especially when you've got this, best tool ever for exhaust rubbers, Minter, thank you Paul. And then I've just been looking, the DCAT pipe needs a 13mm socket and they're about 16mm big with all rust on them, so we'll see what we need to do when we get to that. But as you've just probably heard, or I don't know if I'm going to fit it in between, it's a little bit noisier with the exhaust off, but not a lot, not a massive amount, but we'll get it onto the road and we'll see how much noisier that turns out to be in the car and what have you. So we've got the secondary cat off. It's still absolutely red hot, so I don't know why I touched it. That was silly. So these nuts are what should have been 13mm, but I've ended up having to, though crusty as, I've ended up having to bray a 12mm. These are like some, I don't know if they're described on here, but they're like a flange drive type. They're hard to get on a normal nut basically. So they worked out pretty good. So yeah, it's on here now. A couple of little things I'm not 100% happy with fitment wise on this, but I think it's just slight variance in the jig work, so we'll look at that. But we'll measure how noisy this is. I'm not expecting a massive difference. I'll go out for the road test and we'll put them figures up when we've done that. And then the next step, into the fab shop, get the side pooper out. So, Dan got the exhaust sorted. I think it looks pretty good. Maybe it could have come out at an angle as well, but it's got a lot of room from where it attaches on to the original sort of position. So it will probably difficult to get it where you want it, and we're sort of conscious of not anywhere near these springs and stuff. But if anybody wants one, let us know what you think, and we can change it to suit if required. But I think it does sound a little bit deeper tone. Obviously you can tell there's a few things that used to have silencing that are probably hollowed out, but it's not any noisier at all, and I'm pretty sure when I go out in it, it'll not be any noisier at all either. So if you want to make your exhaust noisier, you need to stick around for the next part, because that's when things should start getting a bit spicier. Oh dear. So, the painful job with the DPF delete's done, and as you could hear, it's just tons noisy now. Some people like it, we do a lot of straight through exhausts, and people are really happy with them, but this is going to be a working truck under a lot of load, and there's one test I didn't really do on every one, but I just know it's a lot louder, and that was sort of under load, sort of a little bit uphill, 60-mile-an-hour cruise, and it's just ridiculously loud now, which would be so annoying when you've got a big trailer on there. You just sound like you're a yobbo all the time. But if you're just mincing around and want to get everybody turning around and looking at you, this is the exhaust for you. So the next step, but we're going to put that into the next video, I think, we're going to put some silencers back into this, but we intended to do it that way. It's not like I've not expected it to be too noisy. We're going to try and get two in if we can, because we can get one in the crossover piece, the secondary CAT, and we can get one where the DPF normally lives underneath. So we're going to try and sort that out in the next video, and then we'll get the spare wheel fitted and all that sort of stuff. I might even put the standard exhaust back on just to see what it sounds like with the DPF delete and the standard exhaust. I think a lot of people want to know that, but we'll leave that for the next video, and then we've got two exhaust videos as such. So this one's getting a bit long. But the fitment of the DPF were an absolute pig. There's a lot of room to work on these, but there's a lot of bolts that are just orientated in a stupid way. All these sensors were stuck in one way or another. Paul got a nice tool, like a big long ratchet and a crow's foot socket that were mint on the lambda sensors. But you need a bit of heat on them. I think a few of these I put the blowtorch on to get them, and these ones especially, I think I mentioned it in the last video, but the threads on the studs are absolutely fine, but the nuts were just completely gone. So you've got to be careful with them. But the probably most frustrating part of doing all this, we're getting this gasket out of the turbo. It don't look like that once you've got the new one, but it took a lot of digging to get that to come out in a piece like that, bits of fiberglass everywhere, it's not nice. And you've got to take all this bracket off, which this bracket, this one here, also holds, I think it's that one. Yeah, I think it's that one. It also holds the AdBlue pipes that are still in place. So you've got to take that completely out, undo absolutely everything, undo all the bolts for everything underneath, and then get up the top and pull this out the top. So it was quite involved. I think I see everything. I'm an amateur mechanic at best, but I've got some people who can just point and say, you've missed a bolt there. And it still was probably 3 hours work for me, maybe even a bit more. So if you're trying to do this on your back, it's a lot of pain to happen. But it's doable, it's not impossible. We've worked on stuff that's definitely worse than this. Other than them crow's foots and a decent set of spanners if you're trying to crack these off that don't flex and open up, seems to be the key. We didn't need to, but we took all this completely out. If you wanted to, you could just disconnect these pipes here and just pull it out and leave that. in situ, and then it's one less fault code to delete, but we just take it out and then it's all complete. There's absolutely nothing wrong with these, so at some point they'll be going back on when we've done all this testing, which depends where we go with engine power and stuff like that as well. So hopefully this video has been interesting. All the products will be in the description. It seems to have took that long over that many. There's been a weekend in between as well, but I probably forgot some stuff, but we'll put it all in the description anyway when Daddy's editing the video. And yeah, it's been interesting to do it this way around. So if you're wanting more noise, the first step, the DPF's got to go.